sports federations that athletes and coaches worried about the Zika virus should not go to Brazil for the Summer Games. Officials in Rio say the games will go on. A new government analysis looks at numbers that are going down.
There was a significant drop in the number of people without health insurance in 8 states last year, 5 that have Republican governors. And the Centers for Disease Control found 10 additional states that had notable reductions. The nation's uninsured rate has dropped from nearly 14.5% in 2013 to less than 10%. Analysts credit the president's Health Reform Act and the improving economy. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
Lonely Planet, known for its travel guides, says Philadelphia is the top place to visit in the U.S. this year. It cites a transformed urban core while retaining its deep history and gritty flavor. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
You're a small to mid-sized business with 300.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Flurries and scattered snow showers will continue off and on through the afternoon with some light accumulations in many areas. Otherwise breezy, cold, highs only to the lower 30s. Tonight, a few lingering snow showers will continue through the nighttime. Overnight lows closer to 20. For Wednesday, after a morning flurry, drying out, still cold, highs into the 30s. A slow warm-up Thursday. Dodge City Ski Shop will keep you and your family toasty warm with the largest selection of cold weather clothing as well as snow sleds for the kids. Dodge City, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Welcome to the Sabrena Realty Hour, brought to you by Sabrena and Mark with Sabrena Realty Associates, where we talk all things real estate and community. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Sabrena. Morning, Chattanooga.
Thank you all for listening today. We are very, very excited about our show today. We are so honored to have here in the studio with us today, Randy Fairbanks. Now, I know everybody knows Randy Fairbanks. That's just a household name by now. Randy Fairbanks, he is the county commissioner for District 1, which is the Saudi Daisy area. And he's with us here today. He is also a CPA. He owns his own firm there on Hickson Pike. Is that on Hickson Pike, Randy?
It is. I'm up on Hickson Pike.
And so we're going to talk about some things related to tax returns, and then we'll get into some politics. What I was hoping you could do today, Randy, is maybe share with our listeners, you know, it is tax season time. And I'm not seeing much of you nowadays because I know you're covered up to about April the 15th, aren't you?
Yeah, it's pretty busy right now. It's pretty busy. Somebody told me the other day this time of year is my non-flip-flop time of year. This is when I have regular shoes on this time. But yes, the load has done started, and we're pretty busy up at the CPA office.
I noticed when you came in this morning, it looks like you're slimming down a little bit too. So I know you're working hard. I could tell it looks like you're getting all slim and ready for those flip-flops. You know, I was hoping today you could kind of share with anyone listening that maybe owns a home, maybe give them some tips or some information, letting them know what they can claim when they filed their taxes this year. There may be some items that you can share with them that they can claim that they may not be aware of.
Well, of course, the two main things that homeowners claim on their tax return, and it's on the Schedule A, is, of course, their home interest, the amount that they pay for their mortgage interest. And then they count their sales tax that they pay on their home. Those are the two major things. And those are the two main drivers. In most of the returns I see, those are the two main drivers that causes people to itemize.
Right.
And, and there's a few other little things that you can count there that, you know, if you have if you've closed a mortgage and you pay points on there, they count that as interest paid too. So you count those, you can count those on your income tax.
Now, are you talking about closing costs? So if someone's bought a home, and let's say that they bought a home for $100,000 and they pay 3% closing costs, $3,000, are you saying they can claim that as well?
Well, not necessarily totally all the closing costs. It's the amount on there that they indicate is points, which is really points is a same way of paying some interest up front.
Right.
And so that's why that's deductible.
So if they were getting a mortgage with a 4.5% interest rate and they bought that mortgage rate down to 3.5%, they would be able to count that amount that they used to buy down that interest rate.
Yes, that's the same as prepaid interest is the way they look at it. So that's what they would be able to count the points.
Well, that's great incentive for buying a home is being able to count that mortgage interest deduction. That's been something that has been a threat to be taken away year after year. I know I've gone and lobbied for the realtors on many occasions to keep that mortgage interest deduction. Are you hearing any talks that may go away anytime in the future?
Hadn't heard anything about that, but you make a good point there. The reason we should lobby to keep that is, buying a home for young people is a main investment. And something, and that's a good incentive for them buying a home is that they can count that on their taxes.
Absolutely. And when they buy a home, of course, they're building equity, and that's a great investment. That's something when they sell later, they can make money and use it towards something else. It amazes me, Randy, how that this younger generation seems to want to rent versus own a home. And, the rental rates are at a 15-year high. What you get to rent for $900 a month compared to what you can buy in a home, there's just a huge, huge difference. We sat down with my oldest son, he's going on 24. But when he was 21, he came and sat down with us and he wanted to rent an apartment. He had this big idea that he and his buddies were going to rent this apartment and they were going to go in together. And so we sat down with him. His name's Ryan. We sat down with Ryan, Mark and I did, and we made a budget with him. And we showed him what he could buy in terms of a home versus rent. And that ended up being a no-brainer for him, thank goodness. And he ended up buying a home, and he found a fabulous home that had been renovated. It had new roof, new windows, new heat and air, all new for like $105,000. And his mortgage was virtually $700, whereas he was going to pay $900 a month for just a small, teeny, tiny apartment. So, I think that we should push home ownership and the American dream even more than we do. And having the option of writing off your mortgage interest and that kind of stuff, those are just pluses to owning a home. Are there any other tips you can give for any homeowners out there on things they can write off? I know that if someone is self-employed and they have an office in their home, there's some write-offs there as well, aren't there?
Yes. If they're self-employed and they use a portion of their home to do their work, and then they can count a portion of that off on their taxes. What they normally do is they keep up with the expenses that are directly associated with that room that they're using, and it has to be, the IRS says it has to be a separate dedicated room for their business.
Right.
And it can't just be a living room that they use all the time that they designate for that. It's supposed to be a specific room that they designate that they use for their office. And what they can do, they can count off direct expenses, the full amount for direct expenses, and then they have what they call indirect expenses. And that's like their utilities and stuff like that. Right. Now, that's on a percentage basis. The way that's done is you take the utilities and the insurance and the stuff that's spent on the home, and then you get the percentage of that space that they're using. And then those things they spend during the year on a percentage basis is used as their deduction. And one good thing about that there is there's some things that you can't. You notice when I was talking about the what you can count off on your taxes earlier, I said the taxes and the interest, but I didn't say insurance.
Yeah.
When the amount you pay on your homeowner's insurance is not deductible for personal tax return.
Right.
But then when you jump over to this home, in your home, office in your home, the insurance would be.
Exactly. But they can count the property taxes as well. So for anyone that escrows, they better keep up with that, what that amount is yearly to be able to count that off. And hopefully they're getting a statement from their lender that tells them what they can count off each year.
And let me tell you one other thing, Sabrina, I forgot to mention it a second ago. there's another little thing that you can count off on your taxes. It's what's called mortgage insurance premiums. There's some lenders that if you don't meet a certain threshold or something, it's kind of like insurance to them. So they charge some interest premiums until you get till you get your note paid down to a certain point.
Well, and that is associated with a conventional loan and also an FHA loan. And my understanding is now that with an FHA loan, that mortgage interest never goes away. That came into play a couple years ago, and now that mortgage interest never goes away. So for anyone that's got an FHA loan, I would recommend over a period of time that they refinance and maybe do a conventional loan or something so that when they get that payment down to where they only owe 80%, that mortgage interest will go away.
Randy, what about sales tax on a major purchase, like a 98 van or a vehicle or something? Could you write that off?
Sounds like you've sold a van lately, Mark.
I think he's trying to be a wise guy. He's making fun of me for a joke earlier.
Sales tax, as you know, they enacted the Congress and they approved this lately. And some of our states that don't have an income tax, that was a big push for those states to be able to count sales tax off on your tax return. And you can count sales tax. Now, that works one of two ways. And then I'll get into another thing you can add, but one of two ways. The IRS will let you count a certain percentage off based on your, it's a percentage based on your income, which is logical because the higher earnings of income, the more you buy and the more sales tax. So they use a formula that allows you to count off a certain percentage on your tax, or you can take actual. I mean, you can save your receipts and do very seldom do people do that, but you can count your sales tax, everything you've paid in sales tax. Now, the one thing the government will allow you to do, if you use that determined amount based on there, then if you've got a major purchase like an automobile or something, they'll allow you to add a major purchase to that. So in the times when you usually have that major purchase, it helps people quite a bit because they can add sales tax on a vehicle that they've bought and add it to that amount, the predetermined amount, to use that total. And so in years where somebody has bought an automobile, their sales tax deduction there is usually sometimes doubled, but it's usually more.
What about rental property for people that have, and I'm not talking about someone that's a big scale, 10, 20, 30 properties, but just an average Joe that's got a couple of rental houses or a duplex. What can they and can't they write off in that situation?
Well, now that's a little different there because you're going from a personal, what we were talking about, a personal to a business.
Right.
So when they've got rental property, and I've got a couple of clients that I've got some that's got one or two rentals. I've got a couple of people that have, 30 and 40 pieces of rental property. So, but now you're into a business situation there. So pretty much anything you spend on that property, mortgage and taxes and repairs, insurance, mileage. Yes. People keep up there with their mileage going to and from the thing. So about anything. And I tell people, here's the way I tell people that are in business and in rental, because that's in a business and rental like that, their mindset should be to keep up with expenses, anything you're doing that goes toward making that income. So anything you do, they need to have I tell my clients, have the mindset of anything you're doing or going and doing, and it's because I've got these rental properties. Then that's the way you track that. That's the way you track your mileage. And then, of course, most of the things on rental property would be the normal things you would think about. It would be if you have a mortgage on it, if you pay the taxes on it, the insurance. This is where the insurance counts on this because it's a business. And then, of course, like you said, some mileage and repairs. I mean, you're constantly
repairs and maintenance.
Yeah, repairs and maintenance. People that's got those rental properties are constantly doing something, and that is also counted in on those.
Now, Randy, you said that you're going into a business when you get into rental properties. Or most of your clients at that point, do they have their rental property set up in an LLC or some type of business, or are they still in their individual names? What are you finding, and what would be the pros and cons of doing that?
It varies. Most of the the clients that I have do not specifically set those up in an LLC. And basically the ones that do, they're just trying to limit some liability there. And, but most of the ones I have don't.
Right.
They don't have a corporation for it or any type of corporation. I mean, they just have a Schedule E on their tax return. It's on their personal tax return as rentals. Even the interesting one, even the guy I was talking about that has, I think he's up to about 32, 33 pieces of rental property now. He does have quite a few. And I mean, it's just on his personal income tax. I mean, he hadn't set up a corporation or anything. So,
wow.
And let me tell you an interesting one about that, Sabrina. This guy was from out of town. He moved down here from, and of course I won't give his name, but he might be listening now. But
yeah,
he moved down here from Ohio, and he has those 30 rental properties are in Ohio. They're up there. Wow. And he lives down here, and his wife works down here, and so she got transferred down here. So he continues to operate those properties in Ohio. And I asked him one time, I said, why wouldn't you sell those up there and then come down here and do it? And he said, well, as of right now, the market wise and everything, it's better for me to keep them up there. And I said, well, does that run you ragged going back and forth? And he said, no, I have somebody manage those properties for me in Ohio. They manage them, collect the rent and all that stuff and everything. And I said, okay. And I said, well, the number one question I got to ask you, is it somebody you can trust, that you have good confidence in and trust? And he said, oh yeah, I trust him. I said, you know him well? He said, oh, I know him well. He said, matter of fact, it's my ex-wife. And she manages those for me up there. And I said, well, okay.
You know, some people get along better after the divorce than they did before it. Unfortunately,
she's not hitting, is she, Mark? Now she's
no,
directing that.
No. Hey, listen, I wouldn't try to train another one. I'm gonna keep the one I got. Let me ask you this, Randy. For someone that may be looking at purchasing a home to flip, what would be some of the tax advantages for someone wanting to do that?
Still, the same thing applies as we said a second ago. A flip is just basically a short term, what you would be doing if you're not going to rent the place. Because a lot of people, they'll buy a house to flip, and then toward the end, they'll decide, hey, am I going to go ahead and flip it and sell it and take my profit out, or rent it? So the same thing you do on a flip, you buy the house, and then you have all the expenses you have of fixing it up, all the expenses, and then you turn around and sell it, and that's your profit. It's what you paid for the house plus what you've put in it. That's the basis of the house, and then you turn around and sell it, and that's your profit. So basically the same rules apply there as it applied earlier that I told you. If you're flipping a house, anything you spend on that house to get it ready to sell, those are expenses.
Now, do you have many clients that are flipping a house, doing a 1031 exchange? And do you want to touch on that briefly without getting in the weeds too much? Because I want to leave some time here to talk politics.
No, basically, most of my clients right now, most of my clients are doing the simple flips where they buy the property, fix it up and everything, and turn around and sell it. And that's basically what they're doing.
Well, there's some good money in it. And, you know, the banks aren't paying a lot on savings accounts or CDs or anything like that. So people are finding that there's a lot of stability investing in real estate. And, you know, we have one investor, it's funny, like the one you're talking about that invested in Ohio. We have one out of California that's bought like 60-something properties through us, and we just love him.
Yeah.
I mean, we send him a Christmas gift every year.
I would too. and let me add this, Sabrina, another thing, one of the such positives about the flips, of course, the people doing it's making a little money.
Right.
The neighborhoods, we're doing one right now over in East Ridge, and while the fella is over there working on it, the neighbors are just ecstatic because this house was run down and it was an eyesore. So one of the good benefits of people even having investment income or doing flips or something, it upgrades these neighborhoods where there's houses that are just, they ruin the neighborhood's looks.
It's certainly, and that is a great point, magnificent point, because that's exactly what happens. So it only helps the neighborhood. It certainly doesn't hurt, and people should be thanking them and bringing them an apple pie over, shouldn't they, when they are renovating a home? Well, something I'm curious of, Randy, and you and I were newly elected, and we were just sworn in about, I guess it's been about a year and a half now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I've never asked you this question, and I'm going to ask you on the air today. I'm just kind of curious, what interested you in running for county commission? I'd like for you to kind of tell me that and kind of what you felt your calling was. And then I'd like to kind of know what maybe has been the biggest surprise since you've been sworn in.
Well, and I've always been, over the years, been involved in politics and interested in politics. But the main thing I think that makes one want to serve, and me specifically wanting to run and serve, is I like just getting things done and helping people. And that's the main thing. And we've discussed this before. The fun part of our job is, and I had one just this last week where, speaking of neighborhoods, there was some stuff that was in a house that was in their yard and stuff, and it made the neighborhood just look really, really bad. And the neighbors called me and said, "Can you help with this?" And we kind of helped get it cleaned up and stuff like that. That's the fun part of the job, being able to get to the root of the problem and help people out. I love doing that. I've always been, and I've told somebody this one time before. In my many years of at my church, I'd serve as the clerk. You know, of course, I like handling that money, Mark, but I'd serve as the clerk. And I've been a football official, you know this, for a number of years.
Yeah.
Well, I served as the treasurer in that group for several years and stuff. I just like taking care of situations and helping people and stuff. And that's what drove me to run for office.
You do a great job too, because I know how sincere you are. We've talked a lot, and I've gotten to know you over the past year and a half, and you're sincere. And I think that the residents of District 1 are well represented by you, Randy. And I say that for you on your behalf, because I know how sincere you are. I know how serious you take it. I know how hard you work. And for anyone looking to file their taxes, how would they get in touch with you?
I'm located right there on Hickson Pike, and what I tell people, most people know where the bowling alley is on Hickson Pike. So I'm about a couple of blocks shy of the bowling alley toward Northgate Mall, there on the right side of Hickson Pike. And
what's your phone number?
Phone number is 468-3791.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. You've provided a lot of valuable information, and hopefully people can find more and more stuff they can write off and keep more of their money in their own pocket this year when they file their taxes and not owe the government. Thank you so much, Randy. It's been a pleasure having you here with us today in the studio.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Smedley, and Mark. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. Our house in the middle of our street.
Hi, I'm Sabrena with Sabrena Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at SabrenaRealty.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Little, candidate for criminal court judge with 25 years of criminal court experience, which makes me the most qualified candidate. The experience I have gained from handling over 4,000 cases in state and federal court has equipped me with the ability to be fair, impartial, and independent. As your next criminal court judge, I will focus on keeping Hamilton County safe. I view this position as a public service and will strive to improve the daily operation of the court. I humbly ask for your trust and vote in the March 1st Republican primary.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mike Little, Barry Abbott, Treasurer.
What's going on?
Get a free $20 gas gift card. Free. That's right, a free $20 gas gift card. Just tell Rick at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds on Brainerd Road you heard the offer on Hot News Talk Radio. A $20 gas gift card for free when you tell Rick you heard it on Hot News Talk Radio. Buy or sell 30 grams of gold or 10 ounces of silver and get a free $20 gas gift card. It's the Valentine's Day sale at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds on Brainerd Road. 60, 70, 80% off when you buy rings, pendants, bracelets, and necklaces. Cash, and more cash when you sell all week. Buy, sell, trade at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds on Brainerd Road. Mention you heard this at Hot News Talk Radio and get a free $20 gas gift card. Free. Cash. This huge Valentine's Day sale's going on now. Don't miss it. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds Valentine's Day sale. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. Hamilton County schools are closed today following icy conditions, mostly in the mountainous areas. Marion, Grundy, and Polk County schools are also closed today due to the inclement weather. A St. Elmo check-into cash was robbed at gunpoint on Tennessee Avenue in St. Elmo. A canvass of the area found no further evidence or any witnesses, but a store clerk did not sustain any serious injuries and did not require any medical treatment. The suspect is described as a black male, 6 feet tall, slender build, wearing a teardrop tattoo under his left eye and a lettered tattoo of NY under the left side of his neck. If you have any information, call 423-698-2525. The feds arrested a couple in Chattanooga after reportedly finding 374 grams of ice meth in an apartment in East Brainerd. The building had already been under surveillance on February the 2nd, and a search was started at 7:50 p.m. Meth was found inside the bathroom. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Flurries and scattered snow showers will continue off and on through the afternoon with some light accumulations in many areas. Otherwise breezy, cold, highs only to the lower 30s. Tonight, a few lingering snow showers will continue through the nighttime. Overnight lows closer to 20. For Wednesday after a morning flurry, drying out, still cold, highs into the 30s. A slow warm-up Thursday. Dodge City Ski Shop will keep you and your family toasty warm with the largest selection of cold weather clothing as well as snow sleds for the kids. Dodge City, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
Welcome back to the Hot News Talk Radio Hour, 1240 a.m. It's Sabrena Realty Associates here talking everything real estate and community. We're back with my co-host Mark here.
Hello.
I want to talk about 8 things. This is a great article I found on the computer this week, actually on Realtor.com, and it's just 8 tips for anyone thinking about selling their home. These are 8 things they should not do. And number 1, or should do rather, should or shouldn't do. Number 1, they should leave. How many times does a seller want to linger around when those buyers are coming through with their agent to look at the home?
I know it happens more times than you would think.
And it's always a good idea to leave. Take your pets with you. Don't leave those pets there. Take those pets with you. Move your car. When people walk up or pull into your driveway, you don't want to have that car blocking the driveway or the sidewalk where they can't easily maneuver up to the front porch. It's also good to lay out important documents like the average utility costs and that kind of stuff. People always want to know, what does the electric bill run, the water run? Right. Exactly. ideally offer some refreshments. I don't always recommend this because you want people to look at the house. You don't want them to be distracted. But at an open house, it's always nice to have some cookies or brownies or something like that. And then sellers can't be greedy. They've got to be reasonable. They've got to listen to the professionals. They've got to rely on that expertise advice they're getting from the realtor they've hired. So these are just some ideas and things that sellers should keep in mind if they're thinking about putting their home on the market. And now for our next guest, I'm so honored to introduce Nancy Waddell here in the studio. Nancy actually works for Ethan Allen, and she just has just a gift when it comes to staging a home. She's very gifted at visualizing and making a room look good and just transforming it. I know that I called her in to help me one time on a listing I had, and Nancy came in, made some recommendations. They were very inexpensive recommendations. My seller didn't have to spend a lot of money. Nancy just came in and used her expertise, and we sold that house in 7 days. You remember that, Nancy?
It was fun, and it was really a point of pride that we managed to find a great buyer for that house so quickly. The seller was thrilled.
Yes.
So we work really well together.
And we've done a lot since then, because now you are working at Ethan Allen there on Gun Barrel Road.
That's right. I'm the design center manager. I have 4 designers there. They're very skilled, very sharp ladies, and we really have what it takes to help you move into the new home that you have, that Sabrena and her associates sell you, take things that you already have and incorporate them with new product and really make that house your new home.
Now, if you were going with me on a listing today, Nancy, let's just say, what is some advice that you would give that seller on getting that home? Because presentation is everything, and that first impression can make or break that sale. It's everything.
It absolutely is. The very first thing that I would tell someone that wants to put their house on the market, or anybody that is a homeowner, is this very important point. The moment that you decide, I'm going to sell my house, that house is no longer yours.
Great point.
If you can sort of get a little divorce from your house in your head, and it's not so hard to do if you've only lived in that house for maybe 3 years or so. But if you've lived in that house for 25 years and you've raised children and you've had experiences, it can be very hard for a seller to stop thinking of that house as their sanctuary and think about it as property that they need to move.
Very emotionally attached, because they are thinking of all the memories they had with the kids growing up and everything. And that is great advice, because what I have found, when someone is emotionally attached to a house, that house is worth $100,000 more dollars to them than what the market shows that the house can sell for. So I think that is an excellent point you made, Nancy. What else could you advise?
Once you've decided, I'm selling my house, it's not my house, I'm seeing it as belonging to somebody else, then this is an important point. Rent a storage unit.
Yeah.
Rent a storage unit. Do it. And you don't have to have a huge one. You can get just a small one. But what you're going to do is you're going to empty out extra space in the house. Clean out that attic, the basement, the storage area in your house, closets that you're not using. Nothing is going to help a prospective buyer more than to come into your house, open that door, and see empty space in the closets, in the attic, because what they're doing is they're saying, wow, this is so much more spacious than I anticipated.
Yeah, that's great advice. And you know, something else that does, that's like a win-win.
Yep.
Because when they declutter or pack up stuff or box up stuff or get rid of stuff, then that's going to make it that much easier when that home is under contract and you're closing and having to move. That's just that much less work you're going to have to do when you go to move.
And it's a radical move, but it will force you to begin to move things out of that house. And while you're doing that, as the third point, is get rid of things. Just go ahead and start. And again, if you've lived in that house for decades, it can be tough. But get rid of stuff. You're starting a new chapter of your life. Why do you want to take all that baggage with you?
Right.
And even if you can't bear to part with it right now, if you put it in the storage unit, you can deal with it maybe after the closing, or, you know, if you've got a quiet period. but just go ahead and begin to edit, and get a friend. If you've got a friend who loves to get rid of things and loves to clean and loves to declutter, bring him over, and let them mercilessly help you axe those things that have got to go.
Yeah,
because they'll help you do that. They're not emotionally attached. They have no problem throwing out those papers from 3rd grade.
That's great advice.
So let them help you, because again, you're making this transition, and you want to get top dollar for your home, and you want to sell it quickly, right?
That's true.
The 2 things that everybody wants. This, I think, is the best way to do that. Rent that storage unit. Load it up with those things. The very next thing they need to do, and every realtor will tell you this, is clean it.
Yes.
Scrub it. I'm talking on your knees with a little bitty brush. Just
clean the windows.
Clean the windows. Clean the light fixtures. Look up. Do you see cobwebs in the corners? Because most people, they come home from work, they go from the garage to the kitchen to the bedroom, change their clothes, and they end up in the recliner for the rest of the evening. They really don't walk around the house and look at it the way a stranger would look at it. That's your realtor's job.
That's true.
That's right. Is to come in there and look at it the way the public is going to see it. Listen to what they tell you to do.
And coming up on that front porch and to the front door is the first impression. Like you said, clean the cobwebs. If you need to put a fresh coat of paint on that front door to give it some pop, make it look clean, make it look new, that's very inexpensive.
It absolutely is. And really, really all these tips are things you're going to invest a little money. You're going to invest some elbow grease and some time. It's going to take time to scrub that house, scrub that tile. Those doors under the sink, that cupboard under the sink, people are going to open all those doors and look at things. They're going to look at all those things. So you need to look at it the way they're looking at it. Put some fresh paper down under that sink. Just clean out all those little odd spaces. But most of all, just empty some of those cabinets out. If you've got off-season clothing, if it's your summer clothing, it's middle of February like it is now, take them out. Take them out so that people, the whole goal of all of this is that people need to be able to see themselves living in the space.
That's right.
They want to look at it like they could move right in, like a model home.
And you have to help them visualize. You would be surprised. Like you have a gift. You can go in and you can see automatically how to transform a house, and you can see the potential.
Yes.
Not everyone can do that, though.
And that's why it's so important to get somebody professional to help you. And, I really want to emphasize, when you hire Sabrena and her staff to come in and help you get that house ready, do what they tell you.
Absolutely.
They're looking at it. And it can be, again, if your heart's all tied up in the house, it can be offensive.
Right.
That they think this is the grungy and that needs cleaning and you need to tear out that dead bush.
Right.
Do what they tell you, because the goal is move that house and move on and get the top dollar for it. So this is what they do all day long.
Absolutely.
Is think about these things and learn about these things and read about them. So they're very, very proficient. So we're cleaning. We are outside. We're mowing, raking old leaves out from under shrubs and around the foundation. Pull out dead plants and bushes. Again, like Sabrena said, make sure the entrances are clean and fresh. Replace those light bulbs. I mean, many people don't even use their front door. So walk up, start on the sidewalk and walk up to your house like you're like a stranger, like someone who's never been there before, and see what they see.
And fresh mulch is so inexpensive.
Yeah, it's $2 a bag. So that can make a really, really big difference. Let's get on to furnishings. So once you cleaned, once you've gotten rid of the excess stuff and put it in the storage unit that you rented, then another thing that you must do, I think this is super important.
Yeah.
You've got to remove personal effects, photographs.
Oh, thank you.
Take down the photos. And people have the hardest time doing this because they're proud of them. They're proud of their kids. They're proud of their daughter's wedding picture. They're proud of their photographs. And there's such a movement to frame tons and tons of photos. Take them down, because buyers have a very, very difficult time envisioning themselves living in that space if that family is all over the walls and all over every surface. I have literally been, and I'm living in my 4th home in, I don't know, 3 decades, something like that. And when we were moving here, I was aware of these principles, and I walked through homes where there were literally maybe 800 framed photos on 3 different levels. from the minute I walked in, I could not picture myself living in that house. And not surprisingly, that house had been on the market for a while because neither could anybody else.
And you know what I find, Nancy, when there are family photos out, that buyer's coming in and they're looking at those photos, and that's where their focus is. They're not even looking at the home or the floor plan or envisioning their furniture in the living room. What they're looking at that picture and they're thinking, do I know anybody that lives here? And so it's such a distraction.
It sure is. And they from the minute they start seeing those things, they think of that house as belonging to someone and not available to them. So it's very important. Another thing to think about is, if you are a vibrant Christian and you've got crosses, everywhere, and you've got scripture verses on the wall and all those things, you really need to remove all those things. Same if you're a Muslim or Hindu, you need to remove all of those symbols. And the reason is because you really want the house to be as neutral as possible and appeal to a wide variety of buyers.
Yeah, it needs to be neutral territory.
It really does. And again, remember, it's not your home anymore. It's not your home anymore. So pack up anything that would suggest who's living there. Now, it's okay to have rooms that are kind of obviously children's rooms, that kind of a thing. No, it would be a good idea if you packed up about 90% of those toys. But because toys are a big issue today. People seem to have so many more than they used to. But the whole goal, again, is to make that space just as neutral as possible, just as move into as possible, so that someone, as they walk through your home, can visualize themselves living in your space. It doesn't look like it has belonged to a specific person.
Right.
That's what that is the thing that's going to help a buyer see themselves in the home the quickest.
One thing that I find, and it seems to be pretty prevalent around here, is that 90% of sellers or homeowners don't use their garage to park in. It is a storage facility.
It's incredible. Yeah,
I would say 90%. Yeah. And, as probably a garage is not going to be the key selling feature of a home. However,
it helps.
If someone's got a big Suburban in a big Cadillac or something like that, they have to be able to see the space that's in that garage and know that they can park both vehicles in there. Sure. And it's hard to tell that sometimes when it's stacked to the ceiling.
All those possessions tell a story about who's living there. And if all your sporting things are out there and there's just boxes and boxes and all that stuff, again, it's very difficult for that prospective buyer to see themselves moving in, and that's what you need. And remember, you've already moved out in your head. You've already moved on. It's not your house anymore. So, and look at it the way, if you were shopping for your house, would you want to buy it?
Exactly.
Where would you put your things? Where, the cupboards are crammed, the closets are crammed, the, garage is full of stuff. You can't get your car in there. And, there's pet bowls, all over the place. You really need to, kind of wipe those things out. And that's what is so important about removing all of those things. It sounds like a lot of work. The goal is moving that house quickly, so it's going to pay off in the long run.
You just touched on something. You said pet bowls, and that just triggered to mind when you go in a home and there's an offensive smell or something like cigarette smoke or, a pet smell, something like that. What do you recommend?
Well, excuse me. I would think cleaning the carpets, deep cleaning the carpet is
the
going to help a
ducts.
lot. Yes, clean the ducts, clean that, paint.
Fresh paint, clean those drapes.
I really want, I think the best thing, because people have all sorts of ideas about baking brownies or room freshener.
Light the candle.
The closer it smells to nothing, the better.
Right.
Or I'd rather just walk in and smell fresh paint.
Right.
And I've got some paint choices that, I often recommend. Shaker Beige, Bleecker Beige by Benjamin Moore, or Sandbar is another good one from Sherwin-Williams. Ethan Allen really recommends, several varieties of different companies of paint that we all like. But those are some very good neutral colors with fresh white trim. Anybody could move into that house. One thing that when I do help people stage houses, I haven't done it really at all since I became the manager at Ethan Allen, but they'll say to me, we're going to paint our dining room egg yolk yellow because we saw it on HGTV. Folks, no. And if your house is like 7 different colors downstairs, red and blue and all these different, you really need to neutralize that. One neutral color throughout it all with fresh white trim. Anybody can see themselves moving into that.
That's excellent advice. And, we are such a busy society now.
Yes.
Life is so demanding. We're go, 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 go. And a big turnoff to potential buyers when they walk in a home and they just see all this work. They are just overwhelmed.
They are.
With all the work. And like you're saying, if you have a nice neutral color.
That's right.
It's very clean.
Yes.
Smells very clean.
Goes with everything.
Then it just seems so easy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because all they have to do is move in and they're ready to go. And they can add their own colors, their own personality.
Yes, they can.
So, and those are inexpensive ways to get your home ready for the market too. We talked a little bit last week about getting your home ready for the market. And there's so many cost-effective things you can do. It's just like, with the market being like it is right now, and it's still a buyer's market. I'm not going to go into a home that's an older home and the people have lived there, like you indicated, 20 or 30 years and say, hey, we've got to tear out the bathroom, redo the flooring and bring in granite countertops, a new vanity and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to make those kind of recommendations because they're not going to get that money back.
That's right.
But if they can put on a fresh coat of paint.
That's right.
Put a nice drape up or something like that, or a blind.
Even just blinds would be a great idea. And even just, if you come in and say you really should replace the carpet in these 2 rooms, it's not terribly expensive to do that. The goal would be, it would be fresh and clean. So, long story short, you just do listen to your realtor. And if you follow their recommendations, it really is going to help you reach your goal.
Right.
A whole lot quicker.
Right.
A whole lot quicker.
Now you guys have an event coming up too, don't you?
We do at Ethan Allen on Gun Barrel Road. We've been in business for 11 months. Thrilled. It's a beautiful shop. This Saturday, we have done the HGTV Dream Home. If you go to Google HGTV Dream Home, Ethan Allen has furnished that home this year, and we are doing a workshop this Saturday, February 13th, from 10 to 12 noon. It's called Your Dream, Your Muse Design Workshop. You can call for reservations, and we're filling up fast, so call. We're going to be talking about latest design trends in your home and how to incorporate them and ideas, gleaned from the dream house.
Now, is there a charge for this event?
No, this is a free event.
And it's going to be at Ethan Allen?
At Ethan Allen.
Wow.
Gun Barrel is right next to Bonefish in the old Coldwater Creek space.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to find. Very conveniently located.
And it's just call for reservations. It's 423-894-4456.
And so that will be this Saturday.
This coming Saturday. That's right.
Well, that's great. So one thing about putting their home on the market, this may be a great opportunity to come and get some free professional advice.
That's right. Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you, we are having, and you need to come to this, Nancy, we are having a seminar. And this is going to be a seminar that's targeted for any new buyers. Good. Anyone thinking about investing in real estate, even as an investor.
Well, and I don't know if you know this, I actually own rental property too. So I definitely
wow. And so, we're going to be having a seminar. We're actually partnering with People's Home Equity, Bruce Dodd over at People's Home Equity. And we're going to be at the Hickory Valley Retirement Center. Over at 6705 Ballard Drive there in East Brainerd. We're going to be doing this on Thursday, March the 3rd. From 11:30 to 1, and it's going to be a lunch and learn. And we're going to be offering advice for any new home buyers, any investors, and also for any seniors that may be thinking about downsizing and putting their home on the market. A lot of people are wanting to go to a townhome or a condo and just simplify living and upkeep. And so this will also be a seminar for those people, but this would be great for you to come.
That's right, because we do a lot of that when people come in and say, I just don't know where to start, and our designers can really help them edit their product, but also they often have, needs. They need a new bed, they need a new chair, and they can fill in with our product and make it all look seamless together.
Well, since my husband's here with us, I want you to give him some advice because my husband likes to hold on to everything about you. Maybe you can tell him how important it is not to clutter.
No, well, are you guilty as charged? Well, you're again, just have that friend or your wife, come in and just say, really, do you really want to save this? And how are we going to store this? Because you're only going to accumulate more. So go through it. If it's really valuable or sentimental, there are ways to preserve certain things. But honestly, if you haven't touched it, if you haven't worn that sweater in 2 years, you're never going to wear it again. If you haven't used that object, if you can't remember the last time you did something with it, you don't need it.
And take it to Goodwill or something. That's a great cause, and you can write that off on your tax return.
You sure can. So
and help someone in need all at once.
And one last point that I think I think you might appreciate is, if your heart has been tied up in your place for a while, if people are objecting to, they don't like this, they don't like that, they complain about, the things they saw in your house, that's good. Those are buying signals.
That's true. Well, Nancy, for anyone that's wanting to get in touch with you, what is the best way to get in touch with you? Because you're an expert, and I know they would want to talk to you directly.
Just call me at Ethan Allen, 423-894-4456.
Say that one more time.
423-894-4456. Again, we're right next to Bonefish in the old Coldwater Creek space on Gun Barrel.
And do you guys have a website?
We do. You can just go to ethanallen.com and look for locations, type in Chattanooga, and up will pop.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. We'll be here again next Tuesday from 11 to 12. Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 a.m., brought to you by Sabrena Realty Associates with your hosts, Sabrena and Mark. And for anyone thinking about selling your home or buying a home, call us. We have a great team. We have some great professionals that have been in the industry a long time that love to hear from you. You can reach us at 423-499-7780. That's 423-499-7780. And give them our website, Mark.
It's SabrenaRealty.com. And the key is spelling Sabrena, Sabrena. So SabrenaRealty.com. And also on Facebook.
Thank you so much. And we'll join you back here next Tuesday from 11 to 12 on 1240 a.m. Hot News Talk Radio, brought to you by Sabrena Realty Associates. Have a great week.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin